get out, get out. And I'm like, how do I get out? I'm trapped. I have no way to get out.
Tonight on Grady Newsource, we hear from a Georgia woman who was in China when the coronavirus outbreak began. Also, what Athens Clarke County officials are doing to combat poverty.
I don't think prosperity is all dollars and cents. I think having a healthy lifestyle, a healthy mind, just not stressing out could be prosperous for some.
And the University of Georgia's men's tennis coach just became the most winningest coach in SEC history.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening. I'm Hayden Chambliss and welcome to Grady Newsource. Tonight we start our broadcast with team coverage of the coronavirus. Coronavirus is spreading in the United States. American authorities have reported a total of 52 cases across the U.S., and a total of 6 people have died in Washington state. Grady Newsource reporter Margaret Foll spoke with a Georgia native who is quarantined, and Grady Newsource reporter Trevor Terry shows us how Georgia's best EMS department is preparing in case the disease reaches Georgia. But first, we hear from Margaret Foll, who spoke with a woman from Georgia who was living in China when the disease broke out.
And I'm like, how do I get out? I'm trapped. I have no way to get out.
Davina Jackson had lived in Georgia for over 25 years until she moved with her 2 children to Nanjing, China for work last June. Nanjing is about 300 miles east of Wuhan, where the outbreak began. Amidst the coronavirus outbreak, Jackson scrambled to return to Georgia, but finding a flight out of China proved to be difficult.
They found me a flight, and we were at the airport, and we thought we were free. We were so excited we were home free, and it got canceled.
This coronavirus, or COVID-19, is a rare form of the virus because it originates in animals but can infect and spread between humans. Mark Jackwood, a UGA researcher who studies coronaviruses in birds, says that the good news is that coronaviruses can be killed easily with disinfectants, but the bad news is
they're super highly infectious, so it just takes even a little bit of this virus to infect an individual.
There are currently 88 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the U.S., but none of them are in Georgia. Jackwood says it is something we should be concerned about, but that not everyone is at the same risk.
Most people that get infected with this virus are going to have a fever, they're going to have a sore throat, they're going to have an upper respiratory disease, and then after some days they're going to recover. It's only the elderly, the young, the people that are immune compromised, like I said, that this is going to develop into a further complication where you get a pneumonia.
Davina and her children do not have any symptoms of the virus and are currently staying with her mother in Miami, where they are quarantined to the home for 2 weeks.
I'm just so glad to be safe, and everybody was like, what are you going to do now? I was like, well, I don't know what my next adventure is, but I'm ready for it, whatever it is. I'm ready.
Margaret Foll, Grady Newsource.
Jackson County's Emergency Medical Services Program has been named the top department in Georgia. Grady Newsource reporter Trevor Terry tells us how they are preparing for the coronavirus.
Not often is a small, rural emergency service department recognized as the top department in the state. But in 2020, that title is in Jackson County.
Most of the time, you're going to see a huge service in a bigger city win something like this.
To be distinguished among all of the great EMS services in the state of Georgia, it was really an honor.
Director Jason Baker and his crew now prepare for bigger challenges, with the coronavirus having reached the United States.
It's the flu, but it's a little bit different than what we're seeing. The contractility is it's a little more contagious than what we're seeing.
On Friday, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp announced a task force to prevent and prepare for coronavirus. He said the task force will be represented with people from public and private sectors who will work together to develop strategies.
We're looking at a questionnaire right now for a possible exposure for our patients, so we can, when we get to the hospital, we can turn that over to the hospital and they can investigate it further.
They are also prepared to implement practices in ambulances to help stop the spreading.
Great ventilation inside the ambulance. We're talking about running the air conditioners, opening windows during transport.
The Jackson County Emergency Services Department believes that these ambulances right here behind me are some of the best that you can have. And inside of them, they're prepared for almost any situation.
This corner, for the most part, is our airway stuff, all of our oxygen supplies. We use CPAPs and BiPAPs for a lot of our respiratory patients, and that could be very important for coronavirus too.
While coronavirus test kits are available, Pethel says that they are expensive and will most likely be limited to hospitals. But he says they are developing a plan to best help their county. Trevor Terry, Grady Newsource.
The University of Georgia recently joined a host of other universities in recalling their current study abroad programs in Italy. The university did the same thing with their programs in South Korea. 6 students were set to begin classes there on March 16th. UGA canceled not only spring but also summer programs in China following the U.S. State Department's decision to change the travel advisory from a level 3 to a level 4, meaning do not travel. As coronavirus spreads, so does the possibility that it could turn into a pandemic. Grady Newsource reporter Margaret Full joins us now live in the studio. Margaret, what has the CDC said about that possibility?
Hi, Hayden. The CDC shared a risk assessment of this coronavirus and how it could become a pandemic in the near future. There are 3 criteria for a pandemic. The virus must cause illness, including illness that results in death. As we've seen, the virus has caused illness around the world and the death toll is rising. As of today, 4 more people have died, bringing the total number of deaths in the U.S. to 6, all of which have occurred in Washington state. As for the final 2 criteria, Dr. Jack Wood mentioned that the virus does spread from person to person. And as the CDC stated, the virus is moving closer and closer to worldwide spread, which would complete all of the criteria for a worldwide pandemic. Hayden?
Thank you, Margaret. Another health concern involves firefighters in their high-stress, fast-paced jobs and the suicide rates that come as a result. Grady Newsource reporters Anna Glenn Grove and Kevin Keneally have more.
Firefighters are the highest at risk among first responders for committing suicide. And in Barrow County, at the Fire and Emergency Services Department, a new program has been introduced to try and counter this. The initiative is led by Captain Scott Dakin, who is trained in critical incident stress management. He has been fighting the stigma surrounding suicide within the fire organizational culture and has begun to train others and provide knowledge within his department.
We need to be there for each other. We need to help each other when we're struggling. We need to get rid of the mentality of suck it up, buttercup, because that does not work.
The program is built to help firefighters when they've dealt with critical incidents. It is designed to help them go from the emotional part of an incident back into thinking, and it can be one-on-one or in a group setting. To do this, the department has partnered with Barrow Ministry Village, who provides citizens in the community as well as public safety officers with food, clothing, and counseling through religious means.
We try to match people up with who we feel is going to be the best fit. It's a big issue. Especially in Barrow County compared to other counties across the state, the suicide rate is just higher.
Firefighters and law enforcement officers are more likely to die by suicide than on their actual assignment. In 2017, there were 103 reported firefighter suicides, but only 40% of firefighter suicides are actually reported.
We look at it as just a whole lot more than just that suicide. It's a step in helping to deal with or reduce the event of PTSD, anxieties, depressions. There's a lot of stress that goes into public safety.
Captain Dakin says the training is important so firefighters can run the next call and be productive in life after retirement. For Grady Newsource, Kevin Keneally and Anna Glenn Grove.
Early voting in Georgia for the 2020 presidential primary began this morning and will last until Friday, March 20th. During early voting, you can go to any location in your county to cast your ballot. However, on Election Day, March 24th, you have to go to your assigned precinct. After Pete Buttigieg dropped out of the race yesterday and Amy Klobuchar announced the end of her campaign this morning, only 5 Democratic candidates remain on the ballot. Georgia's election comes 3 weeks after Super Tuesday. Tomorrow, the votes from 14 more states will be counted. Coming up, learn more about the activism to address poverty and immigration in Athens, Clarke County.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
I love
Can we get strawberries? Okay.
Clark County Commissioners invited the community to their first ever Prosperity Package Town Hall meeting, in which they discussed the high poverty rate in Athens. Grady Newsource reporter Derek Carr has more.
I don't think prosperity is all dollars and cents. I think having a healthy lifestyle, a healthy mind, just not stressing out could be prosperous for some.
A group of organizations that work with immigrants held a town hall to provide education and resources for immigrants in the community that are being affected by state policies. Grady Newsource reporter Savannah Schmidt has more on the subject.
For Satalia Gill, this town hall was a chance to share her story about her family struggles after her father was deported.
The reason why I would like to tell the story is to give an example to people that don't know what's going on, and just to give knowledge.
The Athens Immigrant Rights Coalition, or AIRC, is a collective group of organizations that work with the immigrants in the Athens community. Carrie Steinberg, one of the founding members of the AIRC, says that one of the organization's priorities is to help undocumented people get driver's license.
That's a huge issue for people just needing to get to work and needing to get their kids to school. There are lots of states within the country that do offer driver's licenses for people without a social security number.
However, in Georgia, an applicant must provide either a social security number or a letter of ineligibility. This makes getting a driver's license almost impossible for those who are undocumented. Carrie Steinberg says the annual town hall is a good way to spread the word of the resources that are available.
Often it's the breadwinner who is removed from the home, leaving many times a non-working mother and children in the home, so we try to support those families.
The United States may deport foreign nationals who participate in criminal activities, are a threat to public safety, or violate their visas, according to the immigration law. While there is no immediate solution for the undocumented, the AIRC continues providing support to locals who are left in crisis by deportations and detentions.
Good evening, I'm Cassidy A. Thomas, and tonight we will talk about spring beginning a little bit later this month and the rest of your weather for the week.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
And now, the weather.
Good evening and happy Monday. My name is Cassidy A. Thomas with your Grady weather. Tonight we will discuss the Northeast Georgia weather as a whole, the 5-day forecast for here in Athens, and last but not least, spring beginning March 19th. Tonight in Athens, we do see a downpour at 9 p.m. It will be 54 degrees. Midnight, we will see a little bit of change at 53 degrees. Tomorrow in Athens, we do see mostly rain. 6 a.m. it will be 56 degrees, 9 a.m. 59 degrees, and midday at 65. As we said, tomorrow will be mostly rain with your winds at 11 miles per hour and humidity at 79 degrees. So definitely don't forget your rain boots, but it will be pretty hot during the day. My name is Cassidy A. Thomas with your Grady weather. Good evening.
I'm Will Wynn. Coming up, find out which Georgia coach now holds the most all-time wins in SEC history and what local high school won their first state championship in basketball. Stay with us for that and more on Grady Newsource.
Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Is the seat supposed to be forward-facing or rear-facing? Did they move to a booster seat too soon? It may be too late to check when you're on the road. Fortunately, you're on the couch. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Don't think you know. Know you know.
I'm a single mother, and I was the main one working, so I never thought that I could go back to school, you know? My sister, my mother, everybody wanted to help me with my kids. I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Will Wynn here, and here is your Grady Newsource Sports. The last group of players at the NFL Combine will leave Indianapolis today after showing what they can bring to the field. The Combine officially began on February 23rd when registration, interviews, and orientation started. The Georgia Bulldogs had 10 players invited to the Combine. If all of those guys get to hear their name called by Roger Goodell on draft day, then that will be the most players ever taken in the draft from Georgia. The previous high was tied back in 2013 when 8 Bulldogs were drafted. UGA could also break the record for the number of Georgia players taken in the first round. That number is 3 and was set in 2018. The Bulldogs can make that history when the NFL Draft takes place on April 23rd and will go on until the 25th. UGA men's tennis had a pretty great weekend. The Bulldogs defeated number 3 Ohio State 4-0, but that isn't what everybody is talking about. That win gave Bulldogs head coach Manuel Diaz his 707th all-time win, which ranks first for most wins in SEC history. Interestingly, the coach that Diaz passed on that list was his mentor and former UGA tennis coach, Dan McGill. The SEC women's basketball tournament will begin this Wednesday in Greenville, South Carolina. UGA enters this tournament as the 9th seed and will take on the 8th-seeded Alabama on Thursday at noon. The Lady Bulldogs finished the regular season with a 16-13 overall record while going 7-9 in conference play. If UGA could somehow win the tournament, they will have 1,000 wins in program history and will be the second team in the SEC to have that many. UGA baseball is off to a hot start this season. After sweeping a ranked Georgia Tech team in a 3-game series, the Bulldogs are now 11-1 with a 4-game winning streak. The Bulldogs are the 4th-ranked team in the country according to the USA Today coaches poll. They will be back in action tomorrow against Georgia Southern for a 2-game series at Foley Field. For the past 2 years, the Westminster Christian Academy girls basketball team has come so close to winning a title. 2 years ago, they were defeated in the semifinals. Last year, their title hopes were shattered in the championship game. Both of those losses came against Central Christian School. Westminster moved from D2 1A to D1 2A before the start of the season, leaving the division that Central Christian is in, and the rest is history. After finishing 18-1 this season, the Lady Lions won their first state championship in GAPPS. The Lady Lions defeated Lanier Christian Academy for the 3rd time this season. That final time was for the title that ended in a 47-32 final score. I'm Will Wynn, and that was your Grady Newsource Sports.
Up next, find out how local organizations in Athens-Clarke County are working towards a sustainable future.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in, help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Attention travelers. Next Tuesday, a major power outage will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Food, water, and phone service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Athens-Clarke County is hoping our future is a lot greener. The Green Life Expo and Awards on Saturday celebrated local efforts towards this goal. Grady Newsource reporter Emma Goldsmith spoke to some of the people trying to make this happen.
For Mason Tao, an event he's been planning for the past year finally came to fruition on Saturday.
Meeting people where they're having fun is a great way to incorporate sustainability.
The Green Life Expo and Awards showcases people's efforts in the Athens area for a more sustainable and environmentally conscious community.
To see what everyone is doing towards the green
industry, and not even the green industry, I guess more just green movement.
Dr. Daniel Everett, the recipient of this year's Sustainable Steward of the Year award, is just one example of many who are part of this green movement.
You know, I used to be really active in organizing to prevent nuclear war until I realized that global warming was a bigger threat than that, and that's how I got into this.
Dr. Everett retired from teaching at UGA in order to dedicate his time to making Athens run on 100% renewable energy.
It's something that adds meaning to my life, and it allows me a chance to be the change that I wish to see in the world.
The county is also working on larger waste reduction goals, an objective Mason Tow's office is playing a major role in.
We're working on the 2020 goal, which is obviously this year, of 75% waste reduction. We're probably not going to reach that goal this year, so just kind of reestablishing some goals and thinking about benchmarks so that we can kind of make shorter term goals that are more achievable.
One of these benchmark goals that's now in the works is expanding and updating one of Athens Clark's recycling facilities. Emma Goldsmith, Grady Newsource.
Both public high schools in Athens might be getting shiny new athletic facilities this summer. Clark County School District Director of Facility Planning and Construction, John Gilbreth, outlined the plans for the Board of Education on Thursday. The proposal includes installing a turf field at Clark Central and six-lane tracks at both Central and Cedar Shoals. The estimated cost after getting quotes from nearly 2 companies in Georgia is nearly $2.5 million for renovations at Central and $865,000 for the track at Cedar. The money would be coming from SPLOST, an optional 1% tax levied by the county for the purpose of building public facilities. There was a discussion between board members at the meeting about installing 8-lane instead of 6-lane tracks. The estimated extra cost would be close to $1.5 million because of spatial issues. Cedar Shoals football coaches expressed a need for a field house rather than a turf field when they met with Gilbreth in the spring of last year, but the cost to build one was not discussed at the meeting. In his presentation, Gilbreth explained the extensive research he has done to ensure the right decision is made, such as visiting more than 5 schools in the region with similar facilities. And that's our show. For more news on Northeast Georgia, visit our website at GradyNewsource.com. Thanks. I'm Hayden Chambliss. Have a great night.
Grady Newsource is a student production of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Wait. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hi everyone, I'm Caroline. I was your director today, and this is Sarah, your SPM for the day. It was a great show. I really enjoyed the content you guys put today. Not my opinion matters on that, but the only real complaint that I have is that, again, we had a lot of packages running late today, like very late, like up to like 4:54. And that just stresses everyone out, I think, like on your end and our end, and just maybe work on that time a little bit more next week. And like for Wednesday. That was about it. It was a really great show. You all were great today to work with, and thank you. Here's Sarah.
All right. So don't really have much feedback for today. I did like how ambitious the show was. I liked that you guys really committed to the team coverage part, especially we did a custom double box. We took the feedback from last Wednesday with how weird that double box looked with the anchor in the upper left and then the smart board shot in the lower right, and we changed that to a custom double box. We didn't even use our normal background. We changed that out to one so that when the anchor and the reporter at the smart board are looking at each other in the studio, they'll be looking at each other on screen as well. And so for any shot at smart board, whenever we're having back and forth questions, we can do that again. That's no problem. Honestly, I thought it looked great. So I'm glad we got to put that change into practice this week. I know that we had one hiccup on our end, which was just OTS taken too soon for the early voting thing. I'm pretty sure we covered up part of your face at one point. Sorry about that. It happens, but honestly, I feel like A block went really smoothly, and it was pretty complicated, so that went well. We had a couple of little editing hiccups on our end, nothing big, but those are stuff that I'm going to address with us. But yeah, honestly, overall time management was pretty good, but there were some things that came in late. Just keep an eye on that. Also, make sure that when you export 1280 by 720, because we had one package that exported today. It was the coronavirus package. It was the wrong aspect ratio. It was not 1280 by 720. When you export the wrong aspect ratio, you're either going to have pillar boxes, which is the vertical black bars, or you're going to have letter boxes, which is the horizontal black bars. So just whenever you export, make sure it's the right aspect ratio for whatever you're broadcasting at. Other than that, I don't have anything, so have a good post show.
So with Dara's package, it was in the wrong file, March 3rd, and then when you put it in the right file, it was only a SOT, even though it said package.
We looked at March 3rd, and under Superclips, there was a file that was marked as, prosperity package, prosperity_package. And what we did was we just dragged it from the Superclips for March 3rd to the Superclips to March 2nd, because it's March 2nd, and we just ran that, and it was just 12 seconds. It was probably just because that SOT was labeled prosperity package. It just was dragged in the wrong SOT. It happens. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We ran what we had. It was marked as package, so we just assumed. Okay, that's it. That's all I have. Do you have any other questions for me?
No. Thank you for helping us out, because Brittany was not here during the live show, and with us having to drop a whole package, Anna Glenn helped, and everybody else was very understanding. You ran the credits slower so that we were able to recover from that.
Very slow credits.
There's, as I told you, you have to have more content than you need, because you never know what could happen. Usually it's the live that kind of doesn't go right, but sometimes it happens with a package as well. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So how was it, Lainey?
It was great. First of all, thank you to
all of you guys because you brought a ton of content this morning. You were like, everyone had amazing ideas, which was really, really helpful because we were able to have a lot of content for the show. I was never worried about us being light on anything. I was more like thinking about whose package is going to have like a certain amount of time because I knew that we had so much to get through. First of all, I think that the coronavirus team coverage looked amazing. Last week we talked about different ways that we could cover coronavirus, and we came up with like a lot of different aspects, and I think that we were able to take those into consideration, and we made it really local too, I think, which is interesting because obviously with the United States being affected by coronavirus, but Georgia not having any cases yet, we were still able to bring like very informative content, which I really liked. First of all, Margaret, your package was great. I think that you were able to talk to that woman about she was quarantined, and like her experience was like really, really interesting and something that I don't think like a lot of people in other newscasts would have. So I loved that angle, and like the video looked really good, and all of her thoughts were amazing. So like great job during that interview because it looked amazing, and that thought to start the show with the pre-tease I think was also great. Trevor, your package, I loved it. Thank you for kind of rolling with things this morning because it's not what you were planning on doing at all, and you went a completely different direction from what you had planned. So I really appreciate you being able to roll with that and just bring that to the show because I think that the team coverage would have been missing an element if we didn't have that. Hayden, the study abroad reader, was great. So also thank you for just like you did amazing one, and thank you for dealing with me constantly like speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. We're over under, so like you took everything that I told you and applied it perfectly, which really, really helped because you were like perfect, spot on time, even though at one point we were like a minute 40 under. So you being able to take those like tips that I was yelling in your ear and applying them was really, really helpful. The coronavirus discussion I thought looked great. You like positioned yourself perfectly to look at Margaret. Timing on that was perfect. I think that you explained everything in really simple terms about what would make it a pandemic, and that I think is really informative and great. The suicide training program package I loved, and I'm really glad that you guys were able to work on that together because I think that's a really heavy topic. I think it takes two to kind of break down something of that magnitude. Obviously, when you're talking about different suicide programs, it's something that you have to be very, you can't make any factual errors. And that was something I was a little bit worried about this morning, is kind of how we were going to cover that, not
with the right tone,
but the right tone and everything. And you guys did it perfectly. The video matched, like the B-roll looked amazing, and I think that it like worked really well in our A block where we had like a lot of medical. It was mainly talking about medical issues that are happening. So I think that looked great. Also the early voting reader, great. I love that we did the OTSs today. Thank you for putting those together because they looked amazing, and I think that they added just a whole other visual aspect, especially with a reader. That can be something that's a little bit boring if you don't have a visual aspect to go along with it. So those like added a lot. Prosperity package, unfortunately we didn't get to see all of it.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday we'll see it because I know you worked hard on it, and from what I could understand, or what I heard, the different slots, I know it's going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Thank you for providing a slot for the pre-tease. I love that. The Immigrant Rights Coalition package, I'll have to go back and watch it a little bit more carefully. It was right after just the sock op played, so we were kind of stressed trying to figure out how we were going to make up for lost time in there. So I'll have to go back and look at that, but I really appreciate you having that idea like over the weekend and knowing exactly what you were going to cover and having those interviews and coming in so prepared today. That really helps to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and it gave me peace of mind knowing that I could put you in B block, because B block's something that I can't change. Those leads and everything, we can't take out a package, it has to be there. So it was really nice being able to have you to rely on, just knowing that was going to be in there, which is awesome. Also, Anna Glenn, thank you for your help producing. I don't think I could have done it without you in there. I was really nervous to produce for the first time without Brittany. So just having an extra set of hands and someone to talk through things with was great. Cassidy, weather looked great. I loved the tease, the background for the tease. I thought that looked great, and it was something that was different than just our typical like headlines. So really good job. I really liked that. I thought that your weather sounded awesome, and so that was great. Will, thank you for having so much prepared. That saved me a lot by having all those different sports segments. That's probably the only reason why we weren't under like literally a minute, because we were able to keep all of your amazing ideas in there, and you like explained everything really well. You took kind of some topics that were a little bit more complex, where maybe if you aren't a huge sports fan, you wouldn't understand the combine or what that is, and kind of the significance behind UGA having so many players being there. But you did a great job of that, so just thank you for having a lot prepared. And then Emma, I loved your package. Was the perfect thing to end on. It looked great. The video was great. Your VOs sounded amazing. Margaret, your VOs too, I forgot to say, sounded so good. Like both of you, they were just like perfect tone and everything. So amazing job on that. And then back to Hayden with the new field reader and the good night. I'm telling you, like, you could not have timed it more perfectly, which was, I know, difficult because I was constantly like yelling in her ear every other second, speed up, slow down. So that was great. And overall, great show. I thought that everything ran as smoothly as possible. Again, thank you to all of you for having amazing ideas this morning and coming really prepared. It made me at ease, put me at ease, especially not having Brittany here. So just thank you. And everything looked great. I thought that the show could not have gone better. So
Well, compliments to you. Morgan said that this is the smoothest show she's seen this semester.
Oh, good.
Despite everything.
Yeah, a couple of speed bumps, but it was, I don't know, that's what we're here for, to learn, move past, learn from it. And that's all I have.
Ashley, tell us how the digital day went.
It went great. Thanks, y'all.
What did you post? Can you tell us? I see you're still posting things.
I am actually currently posting right now. I'm actually currently posting right now. We have Trevor's story up. Thank you. Margaret sent me something for social, and Emma actually sent me, thank you, Emma, something for social. Great work.
Okay, thank you. I love the show too, and I'm so proud of all of you. You came with amazing ideas. Dara, I'm sorry, but we're going to run it on Wednesday. And a lot of you worked very hard to arrange, interviews and went to shoot things on your weekend before the show. So I really appreciate that very much. The only thing for the flow of the coronavirus, the team coverage, I thought that Margaret playing her after Trevor and a reader distanced her. I didn't catch that we played her package and then we brought her back when the viewer kind of forgot about her and her package, and she referenced her package, something in her package as well. So I missed that, but I would have reintroduced her just to say, and now Margaret, who brought us the story of this, this woman who's under quarantine, joins us now again to give us this aspect of the story, or just kept her after her package. For flow, that was the only thing that I thought we could have done a little bit differently with that, but it was a wonderful idea, very well executed. I thank Trevor, I thank you for running with my suggestion, and it really added a lot to see how the best are preparing. And
I thought that package added a lot to the team coverage. Obviously having like a first-hand, someone that's experienced what it's like being quarantined and was there when that outbreak, I thought that was amazing to have gotten that interview and have that package, and then being able to bring in the local aspect, and it kind of, the stars aligned in terms of they were just the best program. So what a credible source, both of you, that you had to talk about what they experienced and to also talk about how to prepare. So I thought that both of those were great.
And I wanted to add, for Savannah, your package was very well filmed, and I watched it as closely as I could. I'm going to go and watch the show again at home, but I liked all of you did wonderful packages. Yours, I love the soundbite, and I'm sure it came together wonderful because it's a great story, and there was a lot of heart in it, and a lot of great sound bites, and the fact that we started the show with this with the commissioner's sound bite was also, first we had a newsmaker, a commissioner on our air saying something, which was so meaningful. I thought it added a lot to start our show that way, and too bad that we couldn't run it, but we'll run it on Wednesday.
We'll run it on Wednesday.
Yeah,
because I'm really looking forward to that. I know that you worked hard on it. I know that you have a lot of great
but love the
songs.
double box, a very interesting double box, and the OTSs. I love the fact that you experimented with so many things, and I think it came together very well. Emma, I loved your package as well. Very well filmed, very interesting, especially the guy who was. It looked like he was he in the botanical gardens, or where were? Yeah, it was such an interesting spot.
So the event was at the Botanical Gardens, and this was the first year that it was hosted there, because the Botanical Gardens also wanted to showcase one of their new additions that they have to the garden space, and so it just worked out that the gardens are one of the collaborators for this Green Life Expo anyway, and then the location worked out for it to be there this year. So it's a gorgeous place, so that helped.
And I'm glad that you brought it in with the location. Margaret, I loved both your idea and the package and the smart board, and Anna, Glenn, and Kevin, it was very well put together. Nice also graphics. Love the fact that you had two graphics, one showing China and Wuhan province with relation to Nanjing, and then you also showed us the U.S. with Georgia not being affected. Those are very good visuals.
That's another thing that I wanted to mention, because I know during the day you were talking about how it was a bit of a challenge because you didn't have much B-roll, because obviously you just had the Skype interview, and I again changed your story on you saying let's focus it around her. And I know that you worked really hard on the graphics. They added a lot to the package. I think that they looked really good. So thank you for working so hard on getting those in there, because they looked really good. Because I know that you had it, obviously, with me telling you that your story wasn't going to go the direction that you thought it was. With the lack of B-roll, you made it work, and I thought that it looked great.
Yeah, no, my story really didn't change that much from when I came in this morning. I think you just helped me have some direction, which was nice.
Oh, good.
But yeah, Lainey was a lot of help today. I think I had my first mental breakdown in this class today. A couple maybe, but we got through it. Yeah, we got
We never
through
noticed, so nice.
And it looked great. I mean,
silent mental breakdowns. Very good.
Mental breakdowns.
Yeah, throwing the whole the smart board discussion at you, especially because that came pretty late in the day. It wasn't in the morning meeting. I was like, oh, we could do this. I was just trying to think of another element, and it just so happened that you just you had so much information. You came just so well prepared that you had a lot that you were able to talk about, and I think that adding that, and it's kind of something that I think we always mention, not having just lead package, especially with team coverage, I think is important to have a little bit of a discussion and have another person down in the studio. I think with the PowerPoint behind you listing out what would make it a pandemic, looked great. So thank you for doing that, just rolling with that.
Yeah, and I also like Cassidy's MGN picture of the flowers with the spring. And think of something, maybe you could do that rain thing, find a .org, because it's going to rain the rest of the week, possibly on Wednesday. Find something interesting that you can play with. But I really like the spring image that you used. It's very beautiful.
I think it looks great.
Very beautiful.
Added something different than our typical just weather headlines in the background. So
the moment I saw it, when she dropped it in there, I was like, wow, we haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
it was just
good.
In your package that you did last week, how you had the beautiful backdrop for your stand-up. It just was very visually appealing. It looked great.
Yeah, she has an eye for these things, so But think of something that you can expand on in the weather on Wednesday. And Hayden, solid, very good anchoring. Thank you for helping us out with speeding up and slowing down. And yeah, very pleasant. You could have smiled a little bit more at the end.
I know. The whole thing was like depressing. So I was trying to.
Yeah, we didn't give you many, yes, but the tone was just right.
Yeah, especially in A block when we were talking about.
It wasn't an easy show.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
for you to
you
pull
handled
off.
that
yeah.
really, really well.
There was also a lot of reading
and a lot of difficult names and facts that you had to get right, and you did, like, all of them sounded perfect. So, great job.
Be careful with that water bottle. We would have seen it on air.
I know.
And yeah, I'm glad we didn't see those shoes. Yeah, those shoes are something. I've never seen an anchor wear shoes like that. Electrifying. Yeah. So I'm glad you didn't do anything on a smartphone.
All the pink ones on Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, what can we do on Wednesday differently? Something we could continue, possibly the OTSs and.
I really want to do an in-studio interview. They do it on the election show every Friday, and I think it will be really good. So if anyone, I'm going to be looking for kind of stories that I could get like a UGA professor's like perspective on, or somebody close that it would be easy for them to come in. But if y'all have any ideas or anything, I would love to know. And then if any of y'all want to be in studio, like, I think that would be more fun than me reading at the camera. So,
while we were waiting for the show to start, Neil brought up a very interesting idea from his personal experience. He said that people like him, and he'd seen, on Twitter that people were talking about not voting very early in early voting because they don't know their vote will count since Buttigieg and Klobuchar dropped out. If people have voted early for them, then their votes possibly don't count. That's an interesting...
I thought about that when I was writing that reader, because like when I was thinking about, early voting's already started for everyone whose election day is tomorrow on Super Tuesday, and 2 people just dropped out in the past 24 hours.
Yeah.
So
you could go either way. You could go coronavirus also on Wednesday, an angle to do an interview with a professor or an expert in studio, or you could do something on the early voting as well. But somebody could pick that up and do a story on.
Coronavirus or political? Maybe a political
let's watch
science professor, or someone that's an expert in maybe elections or how they've seen candidate changes.
The early voting, how is it going, and is it affected? We'll see what happens after Super Tuesday, which is Tuesday, and then our show is on Wednesday, so we could talk about Super Tuesday, the results, and how they're impacting the Georgia vote.
We could do a little more research, how
that's
it
why
affects.
I want to start it now, so that I have time
to
schedule with somebody, so I'm not going hey, can you meet me down there in an hour?
Yeah, because
But think of what Wednesday will be. It's going to be right after Super Tuesday, one of the most significant primary elections. 30%, more than 30% of the delegates will be decided, and so probably other people will drop out.
And I think that it's how Neil brought it up, it's a really good point, and it's something that maybe people don't think about all the time, because if your vote, obviously you want your vote to count, so it'd be interesting to get an expert's
And it's a
opinion
local angle. It's about our early elections being impacted by what's happening in one of the most meaningful primaries so far. So that's why I liked his idea.
I can work with you tonight, tomorrow, trying to figure out what exactly.
And Margaret, you will continue your coronavirus thing, right? It's a story here to stay. And if any of you have other ideas about it. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do some coronavirus thing or UGA, or do you have any?
we could expand upon, I think, like your reader and study
Because your
abroad
beat
did a
is
good job,
UGA, so I was thinking
like,
if you
talking about
know.
what happened.
Emails me back. I would
Yeah.
love to know the process.
Is there,
Like from the prosperity package and how we look at the poverty rates, I was thinking about
Okay.
doing a data wrapper from like the Coney County, which is 5.7,
Yes.
to Athens Clark County, which is 31.6, to
And
Madison, which is
yeah, I like that very much. Expand on that because it's a very important story, and we're gonna triple check
Yes,
where your
gonna-
package is,
we're gonna triple check.
and we're gonna triple check at like 4 o'clock.
Hayden has another good idea for coronavirus.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
coverage, if they get you back to you.
I emailed somebody at the risk management office today. So those are the people that are constantly watching, like, protests overseas and like natural disasters and things like that. So they're the ones that have made the decision, like, hey, we need to cancel the study abroad.
Yeah.
So I reached out to them, and if he emails me back, I would love to get kind of like a step-by-step, like, at what point did they say, okay, this is
And what
gone too far?
what do our lives look like if we can't go to class, if you can't go to work, you have to stay at home? What do we need to do to prepare? If the grocery stores close, I mean, all the possibilities, yeah. So that's a very good
I think
good
that would be
idea.
a really interesting angle, especially
Yes.
because, we talked about it today, just that the study abroads were canceled, but I think that it would be really fascinating to find out, like, what are the steps that you have to go through, the boxes you have to check
That's a big
to
deal.
cancel, because that's really big. These are
So
people
much
that have
money.
paid money to already be headed over there, trips may be planned before and after. So I think that if we could get one of them maybe to do an in-studio interview would be,
Find somebody
yeah,
that got canceled on.
yeah,
Maybe,
yeah.
like,
That would be really interesting.
But that's what Rebecca said upstairs. Like, all the students do get refunded anything they've paid to UGA, but like the flights, that's up to the airlines, and then also UGA has already paid for everything, so they don't get their money back. So it's UGA
That,
paying
yeah.
us back.
Yeah, and Ashley was saying she's going on a cruise and she tried to see if she could get reimbursed because of that, and they told her no. So that's a very interesting angle as well.
Well, a lot of people are
that-
going to Miami for spring break.
Yeah.
And since there's, I think, two
Three of
cases
us?
in Florida,
Please stay
I s-
away from them. Don't bring any coronavirus because people who have no symptoms are shedding it as well.
yeah.
So,
What?
yep.
Woo! Can't trust anyone.
So that's another thing to do. If you don't get the risk guy, get a medical doctor who can tell us that there are risks. People who do not have symptoms before they get sick or show any symptoms are also shedding the virus. So it's and it's something new, and we know very little about it. So it's worth exploring. There are many things that we can explore. So that's another, if you don't get the risk person, then think of a medical doctor or somebody.
I think that would be really, if we can get someone,
Researches the virus, yeah.
I can help you, like, email people and try and set up an interview. I think that would be a really, really great in-studio interview. And if it was something that was pre-recorded, like, I think it would be fun to also mess around with different sets that we have, as opposed to just being at the desk. Like last week, I did that one segment with the different candidates for the judge position that's opening up in the county. I think that if we had, there's a ton of sets in there that we could look at just to add a different look to it.
They did one for Sports Source
Yeah.
last year.
Or, I think I know what you're talking
Not
about.
our year. but
Yeah, before,
that,
yeah.
Where they literally had a conversation just like chair,
Yeah.
sitting there talking, and it was very like relaxed and like,
Yeah.
relatable and like less like. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not as formal
Yeah.
as old. Yeah, but I think that would look good. And again, just bringing a different look, messing around with different elements that they have. There's a lot in there that we haven't really experienced or messed around with, that I know that people on the production side, it kind of makes it more fun when we have some new aspects and different things being added in. So I think that the more that we can try and experiment with those and add different aspects, the better.
And what I liked is that you thought of using our archive. That's something, you found that B-roll for the stadium. And
Yeah.
I like that we did that as well. And there's always, you know, archives are very important to remember. You might find something you can't find on CNN News Source or MGN. You could find something that we have in there. So.
All right, that's our post show for this evening. Everyone have a good night.